Could the Peter Cushing movies become canon? Yes, but only if we use a previous theory of mine, which was first featured in my Who is the Valeyard video. In that video, I talked about how the human Time Lord hybrid could possibly be the Valeyard, and this is a sort of continuation of that theory. So the first incarnation would be the copy of the 11th Doctor, and the 12th incarnation would be the Valeyard. But what if Peter Cushing's Doctor was one of the other incarnations in the human Time Lord's regeneration cycle? First off, I would incorporate the deleted scene where the 12th Doctor gives the hybrid a chunk of TARDIS coral, which would explain how Peter Cushing's Doctor has a TARDIS. And now it's time to get slightly morbid, as many years later, Rose dies of old age. I only say this because if the hybrid died and then regenerated in front of an elderly Rose, that could get a little weird. So Rose has to be removed from the situation, and that's the easiest way to do it. Maybe a couple of years later, the hybrid would also die of old age, except he doesn't actually die, he regenerates. And it would be a traumatic one, as the regeneration energy has to convert from the main universe to the parallel universe in order for the regeneration to actually work. This conversion causes all his pre-parallel universe memories to be erased. Which explains why, in Doctor Who and the Daleks, Peter Cushing's Doctor has no recollection of the Daleks. Which brings us to the Daleks invasion Earth 2150 AD, as one of the Doctor's granddaughters didn't return. That role was replaced by his niece Louise. So how exactly does she fit into my land of make-believe nonsense? Well, in Journey's End, Jackie said,
I was pregnant, do you remember? Had a baby boy.
Oh, brilliant. What'd you call him?
Doctor.
Really?
No, you plum. He's called Tony.
That means Tony could very well be the father of Louise. And that sadly brings an end to Peter Cushing's Doctor, but what about the Doctors that might have followed? Well, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th incarnations are mere afterthoughts in this theory, but as previously stated, the 12th incarnation would be the Valeyard. Whilst travelling alone, the 11th hybrid jumps from his universe to the main universe, causing massive explosions from the console. This triggers the regeneration process, and the 11th hybrid becomes the man who would later be known as the Valeyard. Now the hybrid is back in our universe, his memories return, and he begins to resent the Doctor as he has spent so much of his life watching his loved ones die whilst he kept on living. And that's enough to turn anyone crazy. So he leaves his TARDIS to see where he's landed, and he's back on Gallifrey during the 6th Doctor's timeline. His TARDIS dies because it's not compatible with the main universe, but that doesn't matter, as he's now home. And remember, he's still unaware that Gallifrey was saved in the Day of the Doctor, so maybe his plan to gain the rest of the Doctor's regenerations was so that he could fight in the Time War, as he wants to save Gallifrey, not destroy it. But what of the final regeneration? Well, that's a theory for another time. So that's my completely bonkers theory on how to make Peter Cushing's Doctor canon. And I'm sure Peter Cushing would approve, as he once said he would have liked his films to be canon, and with this theory, maybe, just maybe, it could become a reality.